Welcome to Alpine Daily for Tuesday. And on Tuesdays, we've been thinking together about how to be people who live for outward purpose. And we see a little bit of a glimpse of that in John chapter 15, where Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Now looking down at verse 8, this is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. And now down in verse 16, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. And so you see here, this passage is all about God's purpose for our lives. Out of our connection with Jesus, out of our relationship with Him, the result will be that as Christ followers, that we will bear fruit, bear much fruit. You'll notice a couple things there in verse 8, that when we bear fruit, that this brings glory to God. And also in verse 8, that when we bear fruit, it demonstrates the validity of our claim to be disciples. The point is that God chose us to bear fruit. Now, in this context, as you read, Jesus is the vine, we're the branches, and it says that as we remain in Him, as we stay connected to Him, in intimate relationship with Him, that we will bear fruit, that our lives will produce something good, something fruitful. But what is that fruit? How would you define that? Well, if you think about the agricultural metaphor, the fruit is whatever the vine is. In other words, if it's a grapevine, the fruit will be grapes. If it's an apple tree, the fruit of that tree is going to be apples. Since Jesus is the vine, then the fruit is a reflection of Him. It'll be a reflection of His heart, of His character, His purpose, His mission, how He acted, how He thought, how He treated people, what He was all about. That's going to be the fruit that's produced in and reflected in our lives as we remain in close connection with Him. So what was the heart of Jesus? Well, He loved the Father and He loved people. That would be reflected in us. What was the mission of Jesus? Well, He Himself said that He came to seek and save the lost. That's why He says in verse 16, I appointed you to go and bear fruit, that there's a going element involved. And He says to bear fruit that will last. In other words, that our lives would produce something eternal. And so Jesus' agenda is to reproduce His qualities through us, and that includes His mission in this world and His perspective on this world and on the people of this world. So in a nutshell, this is what disciples do. This is what brings honor and glory to God from our lives. This is what demonstrates that it's for real. This is what Jesus purposed for us, that our lives will have an eternal impact in the lives of others to help fulfill God's purposes for humanity. With that in mind, I'd like to invite you to think and to meditate and to pray about these questions today. What kind of fruit do you envision coming out of your life as a follower of Jesus Christ? And what might that look like for you today? God bless you. Have a wonderful day.